Good morning. Did everybody get a handout of what the enrichment hour lessons outlines were for this month? Rudolph may have some, or Jean may have some, I'm not sure.
I think Rudolph.
Okay, Rudolph said that. Well, today's lesson, we're going to be talking about finding comfort in the dark. And I think a lot of times that we don't know that we're in a dark place when we need the Lord to come in and sup with us and help us through those times. We need Him to comfort us. And in finding this, I decided to sort of break down some of the words individually. And we know finding comes from the root word find. That means in order to find something means that something has to have been lost. Discover or perceive by chance or unexpectedly. Aware, realize, observe, notice, note, perceive. Recognize or discover. So find, as we all know, when we lose something in the house, we on a mission to find what it is that we have lost. Now, the way that I present my enrichment hour may not be the way that Deacon Ricel, Deacon Hall, Sister Skate, or even Pastor Harrison or Minister Brooks. I think I'm more practical to a certain level. And I think practicality is something that we need. Not saying that they don't, but that's my way of presenting my enrichment hour. And comfort. Comfort is when you need something. We all have been in a state of mind where we needed some type of comfort. We look to each other sometimes for comfort. When we are in pain, when we're in agony, when life has brought something stressful our way, we find ourselves reaching out, not for sympathy, but we should be looking for empathy. Sympathy is one thing and empathy is another, and sometimes we get those two sort of mixed up when we're going to comfort someone. And dark. Dark. No light. Can't find your way. It looks bleak. I'm in a hole and I can't dig my way out. Those are times that we need comfort. We need somebody to pull us up out of that dark place. Give us some words of encouragement. And the only way that we can give words of encouragement is that we have to be able to share our darkest moment. Not any and everything, but your darkest moment should be relative to the darkest moment that they are going through. And at the same time, we have to be good listeners. Because a lot of times when people come to us, we have our own agenda. We already know the answer because we've seen how you live, we see how you handle things, so we have our own agenda and we don't listen to the other individual to know exactly how they got there and to cry out to get out of there. Now, there was background scriptures that the writer gave us concerning this topic. And the first one is Psalms 18, 1 through 6. My printer was acting up, so I don't even know if it printed it out for me. Let's go. Who's found Psalms 18, 1 through 6, where they can read that at this time? Anyone?
I love you, O Lord, my strength. The Lord is my rock, my fortress, and my deliverer. My God is my rock, in whom I take refuge. He is my shield and the horn of my salvation, my stronghold. I call to the Lord, who is worthy of praise, and I am saved from my enemies. The cords of death entangled me, the torrents of destruction overwhelmed me, the cords of the grave coiled around me, the snares of death comforted me. In my distress I called to the Lord. I cried to my God for help. From his temple he heard my voice. My cry came before him into his ears.
Okay. And someone read 34:19. Psalms 34:19. We're going to get all the reading out of the way first.
A righteous man may have many troubles, but the Lord delivers him from them all.
Okay, and now let's turn to Habakkuk 3:17 through 19. Anybody gonna read it?
I read. Though the fig tree does not bud, and there are no grapes on the vines, though the olive crop fails, and the fields produce no food, though there are no sheep in the pen, and no cattle in the stalls, yet I will rejoice in the Lord. I will be joyful in God my Savior. The sovereign Lord is my strength. He makes my feet like the feet of a deer. He enables me to go on the heights.
Okay. So as you can see, the writer went through and he found different verses for us to show us how the people were crying out to God for comfort. They were in pain. They were in agony. Whatever was going on with them at that time, they needed help. And they were in a dark place. The question I want to ask to you right now, because most of these people who we're talking about were like David. He was God's chosen. We know that Moses went through some things. We know that Jeremiah went through some things. So when we look at it, we can look at it, they were in a dark place in their lives, because I always have to go back to Jeremiah, because Jeremiah was crying out. He was in pain and in agony. He was ready to give up his own life. Take me out of this because of the people and their hard-headedness. So it goes to show you that no matter who you are, there's some pain. So why, as we as Christians who travel this road, get up every Sunday morning, most of us religiously, Rudolph comes from Columbia. I think him and Donnie, they come to furthest, to a place of refuge, a place where they come to get some word, a place where they come to get some comfort. We don't know what they have gone through in the week, but it's not enough to keep them away unless in it's work. We all have vacation. There are certain things that we do that may take us away from being here on Sunday, but it don't mean that our minds aren't here wondering what's going on at Mount Hill this morning. But nevertheless, something brings them here. So their Christian walk, you would think that they're dedicated. They feel obligated to the church. You can pretty much depend on them for anything. So as Christians, when we look at them who's traveling so far to get a word when churches are all around them, why would you think them being the Christians that they are, that they would suffer anything? why does the world who are not in church think that when we go through things that we shouldn't be going through those things? Because we pay our tithes, we do the work in the church, we pray, we always trying to uplift somebody else. So why does the world think that we shouldn't go through these things? That's true. But let's go a little further. The world is in a dark place. It is very dark to those who are not hearing a word of some type. They're living their lives nonchalantly. They think that everything with them is fine. Let's take a look at the drug dealer. He don't know he's in a dark place. He thinks his light is his money. But he does not know that the time is going to come where he's going to need to be comforted by someone. And even if it's not him who's got to be comforted, if something happens to him, his family is going to need to be comforted. So we as Christians first need to be able to share with the world that this walk doesn't take us away from or exempt us from having troubles.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't exempt us from being in that dark place. I was talking with Deacon Hall yesterday, and a conversation that should have probably took 5 minutes. I was overwhelmed, and I guess it was meant for him to call me because I had been on a high since that morning. And so he had to get an earful before we got off the phone, but not that he just sit there and listen. He interacted with me. We talked about the situation. And I know that we all know that God is real, but I have to say, he is true.
Yes,
He's present in all situations.
Yes.
Yes.
And my lesson that I had been working on and trying to find scriptures and getting an understanding as to the darkness that others encountered in the Bible, and the Lord brought me to reality.
Mm-hmm.
He brought me to present day. I got a call yesterday morning. Probably it was about 8:30. And when the individual called me, I was sitting there doing my enrichment hour because I had started Friday night. I was telling Deacon Hall, I said, Deacon Hall, I didn't get the Bible from Maryland until Wednesday night. And I said, Thursday we had graduation. And I said, I just began to take a look at it. Well, that ain't really the truth, because I did read something at work because I had the printout and I had been scanning, but I really didn't get a chance to get into it. You know, I'm looking, glancing over at the Bible on my desk and trying to read it and do my work. And that's why I say I'm more practical in my lessons, and I don't know if that's the way he wants me to present it. I don't know. But I said, Lord, use me in the way that you would want me to present your word, to give people a better understanding. Because we can get the dialogue from the Bible, but we can't really relate to it all as to how in depth their darkness could have been. But my phone rang at 8:30, and it's a friend of mine that I talk to all the time. And we have been talking about this thing that she's going through. And I'll share with you somewhat what she's going through. And I didn't know it was going to turn into about a 2.5-hour conversation. But then I had to start applying what I have been studying. I had to have a listening ear. I couldn't have my own agenda. But so happened she called the right person, because what she's going through is what I've been through already. And She cried, we talked. She cried, we talked. And the thing is, she's a Christian. But she got lost in this dark place. And she can't get herself out of it, not by herself. She knows who can help her, but she still can't take that walk by herself. She's in a relationship. Okay, she had two and a half failed marriages. One marriage was short-lived because her husband died probably 6 months after they were married. He died of congestive heart failure. And I was there with her during those times that she was going through, even at work. She reached out to a young man who, I guess she found comfort in him. He was saying all the right things and doing all the right things, and he had his own stuff going on, you know, had his own little side business, a lot of stuff that's appealing. But we never know what we get when we go after the visual, not what's in the heart. And I don't want to take it long, but this is the lesson. This is the lesson. And why I said it's so, you know, God steps in on time. I was reading Habakkuk, and he was questioning God. Well, he went to God, and he was praying to God, but at the same time, he was answering for God. God didn't ask him to answer for him. You know, he said, talk to me, but he had to answer before God even had a chance to reply. That's one of them hurry up type things, you know. Lord, I can tell you how to fix this thing.
Just do as I say.
Yes. And so the writer was asked the question, did he ask him for help? He didn't ask him for any help. He said, did he ask him to go talk to anybody else? He asked him, he said, talk to me, pray to me about what it is that you want. So as we were talking, and I'm listening to her, because it's almost the same conversation, but it's always some additional stuff. And as I listened to her, I told her, I said, you know the word and go to church. I said, but you're stuck in darkness. You're in a hole that you can't even dig yourself out by yourself. She loves this man. And when I say these things, I want y'all to raise your hand when I say something that sounds familiar. You've heard it before. She loves this man. She felt like if she stayed with him long enough, that he would see the light in her and that he would change. She's been called everything but the child of God. She's still hanging in. She was still hanging in there. She would decide that she was going to leave the relationship, and he would ask her why she left. One minute he's telling her to leave, and when she leaves, he's calling her to come back. So there was a lot of things that was going on in this relationship. There's a lot of ups and downs, roller coaster rides in this relationship. So as she's talking, and one thing that we did talk about that she finally did, that was that she got her stuff and she moved out. This has been about 2 months now. She got her stuff and she finally moved out. I told her, you have your own place. You don't have any peace there with him. So you have your own place, and you're not married to him, and you know what you're already doing. We're living in cohabitating. I said, so go where you can find some peace of mind. I said, but until you can get yourself where you need to be, because we weren't talking about this darkness then. I said, until you can get yourself where you need to be, because you all have a business together, you need to only converse about business matters. Don't talk to him about you and his relationship right now, because it's not an open conversation. All he's doing is misleading you. And when we were talking yesterday, I said to her, after she finished talking, and I shared with her, I read from her to her this from the Bible, and it says, old wounds. It says, do you have a hole in your heart? Can we say she have a hole in her heart? She has a empty space there because she's lost someone that she loved. And she still has a hole in her heart because nothing has been filled. Perhaps the wound is old and you're angry. Or perhaps the wound is fresh and you're hurt. Part of you is broken and the other part is bitter. Part of you wants to cry and part of you wants to fight. The tears you cry are hot because they come from your heart. And there is a fire burning in your heart. It's the fire of anger. It's blazing. It's consuming. Its flames leap up under a steaming pot of revenge. She's talked about revenge. When we see, I told y'all to raise your hand.
I put both of mine up.
And you are left with a decision. Do I put the fire out or heat it up?
Mm-hmm.
Do I get over it or get even? Do I release it or resent it? Do I let my hurts heal or do I let hurts turn into hate? Are you allowing your hurts to turn into hate? If so, ask yourself, is it working? Has your hatred done you any good? Has your resentment brought you any relief, any peace? Has it granted you any joy? Allow the hole in your heart to heal. And when I read that to her, that's when she started boo-hooing. Because she's like, oh, it's so true. You know, she was just going on. I said, it's okay. It's okay. I said, because I've been there. I needed to read this here a long time ago. I've been there. And the get even thing is the first thing that the flesh tells you. I got to get even. And then the longer you stay in there, hatred, resentment is going to show up. Mm-hmm. So why can't we separate while we still sort of in good standing? You know, I haven't decided that I want to stab you, as Mabel say, or put poison in your food and all these other things. So as Deacon Hall and I was talking about this yesterday, because it wasn't a discussion, we both was just sharing information of things that had put us somewhat in a dark place in our lives. And it was so relevant to what had transpired with her. It's so relevant to the enrichment hour. And before I go any further, I was reading and it says, the God of all comfort. I had gone on online and there was some scripture. And it says, blessed be the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, the Father of mercies and God of all comfort, who comforts us in all our afflictions, so that we'll be able to comfort those who are in any affliction with the comfort with which we ourselves are comforted by God. For just as the sufferings of Christ are ours in abundance, so also our comfort is abundant through Christ. This is a writer taking the word and he's putting it somewhat in his own words. And that's where the comfort comes in. We comfort others as God comforted us when we were going through our darkest moments, whether it was divorce, whether it was through death, whether it was through our children acting a nut, whether it was through our marriages failing because of lack of communication, whatever it may be, and it put us in a dark place. And I was telling Deacon Hall, I said, man, my place was so dark. I got me some anointing oil, and I had anointed the doorway when my husband came in, the doorknob. I went and anointed his side of the bed, the pillow, everything, because I needed that demon out. Now, granted, the demon wasn't him. The demon was what lived in him. He didn't know how to separate. He didn't know how to come to the understanding that there was something that was in him that would made him act the way that he was always acting. And that Wednesday, I can't tell you how quickly it was, but it seemed like it happened so quickly. And I guess because in my walk I stayed focused on that the Lord was going to give me back my peace. And when he came that Wednesday and told me he was moving that Friday, my heart got heavy because I didn't want my marriage to be over with. My heart got really heavy. And as I was sharing with Deacon Hall, I said, and then that Friday when I sat there and watched him take his stuff out, I wanted to say, wait. But something quickened my spirit and said, no. So I was paralyzed, as we talk about how things, I was paralyzed. I couldn't say, I don't want you to go. But I wanted to say it. But some people may look at it as I was being weak, because weakness did show up, but he didn't get to show out.
I like that. Weakness showed up but didn't show out.
And it was just so many emotions internally that I was dealing with. So that night when I went to bed, I cried. I came in here, I cried to y'all. But at the same token, when I came to grips with what my prayer was and know that my peace, I had my peace back, I still could be his friend even when he was sick and going to he still knew that he could call me. And I would be there for him because I felt like at times I was beginning to hate him. I told y'all I was having all these visions of stabbing him to death and all this. Not that he put his hands on me or anything, but because I was tired of the mental abuse. I was tired of his mood swings. Not knowing in the end results what was causing some of these things. But, so I was sharing that with her on yesterday. And I shared that also again with Deacon Hall, maybe more in depth than I did before. But she's in a very dark place. And I told her, I said, you got to go back and get what you know. She's over the women's ministry in her church. And she's ministering to women. I said, now when you come up out of here, because you are a Christian, you can talk to other people about things that you've already been through. But this that you're going through, you're going to be able to pull somebody up who's down and they feel like they're so deep that they can't get out of it. I'm stuck because I got 4 or 5 children. I ain't got no place to go. I said, when you left your husband with 4 children, you were praying then and you were listening to the Lord. You said he put a roof over your head. He gave your children food every day. You didn't even have a job. He put you in a place where you were able to get a job. I said, you didn't miss anything, but you leaned on him then. I said, go back to what you know. And she says, I'm trying. And she said, and I know that I can do it. She says, I just can't see the light. I said, but you got to keep digging. You got to keep digging. You got to go in you and pull out that word that has always been there for you. I say it's a certain word that you have been using that's carried you. Go back and find it. Because you can get out of this. Not saying that it's an easy walk. So how many of us have found ourselves in a dark place We may say it's financial, relationships, church, family. How many of us have found ourselves in a dark place and we haven't opened up enough to know that there's an answer? We know that God sends the Comforter to comfort us in a time of need. But do we open ourselves up to be comforted by those He's put us in relationships with?
Mm.
This is an open forum.
A lot of times, I'll say we don't open up to be comforted by others because we get in this state of mind is I don't want you to know what's going on in my life.
Okay,
But
I want you to be individual.
Well, I've been there. I've been in a dark place, and I didn't open up somewhat because I felt like I didn't want people knowing what was going on in my life. But as it all turns out, they knew anyway. But it's just something that I held back. But after I let it go, and you let somebody know what's going on in your life, like you say, those people are there to comfort you, and they were there to comfort me and to even let me know, well, I've been there. So this is how I got out of it. You may not get out of it the same way, but this is how I got out of it. So that's probably why I didn't, because I've been in a dark place more than once.
Mm-hmm.
I've been there financially. I've been there through a failed marriage. And I didn't open up then. But now if anything happens, I'm going to tell everybody.
Well, now in telling everybody is not the answer, because everybody's got their own agenda.
Well, yeah, but you know who to tell and who not to most of the time.
I think that we talked about this in Bible study actually last week, and it really, you will tell who needs to know.
Yeah.
And then they're there to comfort you, and that's when you get your comfort from those people that you shared with.
I know when I was going through my financial thing with my house and stuff, and it's like I said in here, the Lord pointed me to the right people to talk to. I didn't tell everybody, but He let me know who to tell and who to let know what was going through. And the ones that I did prayed for me, and we all prayed, and I got out of it. But see, they comforted me too, letting me know I'm there for you. We're here, so. But it took me a while to open up to let it happen.
And that's where the devil gets us and makes us feel sometimes that we should feel ashamed.
Yeah.
Because of a situation. I've had someone say to me about another individual, well, they should have managed their money better.
Mm-hmm.
They should have realized that this was a bad investment. Lots of things. People will come to you and say to you, I don't need to hear that.
Well, that's true. That's true.
I'm trying to find some. I want something uplifting, to some hope is what I'm looking for. Somebody give me some hope.
But circumstances happen. And you may manage your money the best that you can, and then something may come up out of the ordinary, and it throws you out of a loop. So when people say you should have managed your money better, you don't know how I've managed my money. You're assuming that I didn't manage my money the right way.
Yeah, usually in situations like that, I don't want to know how much you know.
Okay.
I want to know how much you care about
right.
where I am. And you know what? If we get close enough in relationship, we might be able to agree that management probably was the issue, but right now, I want to get out of the dark. I want to be out of the dark. And we all have to admit, sometimes the mistake that get us in the dark isn't the first time we made that mistake.
Amen. Okay.
So you don't need to be beat down that you woulda, shoulda, coulda. You need reinforcement reinforcement that there is light for your darkness. But, Donnie, you want God to bless you, or you want to feel good? You want to spare your feeling? Do you want to do what you have to do? Or you want to sit in stupor and feel good? Or, just like you were saying, you want God to bless you by getting that Negro out of your life, or you want to be very emotional and feel like, I just don't want him to leave. Well, God is a gentleman, and he'll say, okay, you can have it your way, but you're still in the dark. So, sometimes we have to realize that hearing that calm, sweet voice of God will force you to do something you don't want to do, although you know it's in your best interest. You have to lean. That's where that Holy Spirit thing, that's why you need to know the trial, so you'll know, okay,
All right now.
the Holy Spirit is leading me in the right direction, but I still live in this earth suit, and I want to do what I want to do. And that's where you have to stop listening to your head. Stop listening to your head and do what God is speaking to your heart. Because I know when my ex-wife, who now is somebody I can call my friend, it's because I don't deal with her on an emotional level, because she still got some stuff that will drive me crazy. So I don't indulge that part of her that would drive me crazy. It's only straight up, cut dry stuff. Me and these two beautiful children we got, we can talk about it. But that foolishness that I know you still got, I don't ever have to talk about that again in my life. I want you to be happy. And I know sometimes to be happy, I have to not listen to you. And I don't ever have to listen to you. So you have to be willing to let God lead you to your light. And not the devil right there waiting on you. Dark is good. You like being in the dark. Come on, let's go back and get in the dark. You have to be able to get to the light and listen to the Lord lead you in the right direction. And sometimes that if you can't listen to your smart, you have to listen to your soul, your spirit.
Now, one of the things yesterday that I had her to take a look at herself. What's holding her in her relationship with this man? Every time she thinks she's gotten her feet out, he finds a way to pull her back in. She called me and she was telling me, she said, I know you're going to fuss. I know that. Fuss about it. I'm not going to fuss. I'm here. Well, let me tell you what he did now. He took me out to eat. He called me. He wanted to go out to eat the other day, and I went and had lunch with him. And then I was going to the dentist. He came. He wanted to pay for my teeth, for me getting my teeth worked on. And he came and finally fixed my porch, because he's a carpenter. He came and finally fixed things that they've been in this relationship for 4 years. Now that she's left and went back home, now he's finding all these little niceties that he wants to do for her. This is the devil again, because see, what has happened is you're moving away from me. I want you to know I still can grab you when I want to. I can get a hold of you. I can get your attention. So I asked her yesterday, I said, I'm going to ask you something, and I said, and I want you to be as honest with me as you possibly can. I said, and I know these questions are going to be hard. I said, but what is it about him that's keeping you there? I said, and before you answer me, I said, I'm going to share some things with you, and I want you to respond. I said, is it because of what he had? When you met him, he had his own house, his own business. I said, is it because you need somebody in your life and you feel like he's you would accept whatever it is he has to offer because it's a body. He's there. You don't have to be lonely. Is it because you're just afraid that if you leave, he'll find somebody else? So the phone was silent for a while, and she finally said, I guess it's one of them is because of what he can offer. She said, I've taken so much that I feel like, and I hadn't read this to her at the time. She said, I've taken so much. She says, I feel like he owed me. So if he called me and said he want to do this for me, I allow him to do this for me. And so she said, yeah, I don't want to have another failed relationship. And so she answered as truthfully as she possibly could. He got a little money. And that's when I told her to go back to what you know. That's not going to sustain you. He's only going to show that when he feels like you're out of his reach. She's business-minded. They have a business together. She writes the contracts. She does everything. She gets contracts. He don't show, because he's living off his 401k now, he's got a little back roll in the bank. And instead of him building on it, which she keeps talking to him about, he keeps taking out. She gets contracts for them to go to work. He finds everything else to do. So, this is a little personal. She's been with him for 4 years, for almost 2 years, they hadn't been intimate. He finds that the high blood pressure medicine, all excuses as to why he don't desire her right now. He goes to Atlanta just about every weekend. And there was things that she found out along the way that he was doing. She found out the doctor had wrote him a prescription not for Viagra, but for whatever that other thing is.
Cialis.
Yes.
Jane and Mary.
Cialis.
Cialis, Jane, and Mary. I like that.
And so she happened to find where he had been ordering it, but he's not ordering the Cialis. And the only thing she asked me about, well, have you ordered it? He said, I ordered it, it ain't working. So he's been online ordering Viagra. Well, it's a stronger dosage than what the Cialis is. But anyway, he's got this young girl in Atlanta is why he's been going back and forth. Well, she found the paper trail to know that that's what he had been doing. And when she confronted him with it, how they get all crazy, you men, when you're caught in your stuff. Okay. So that was a sign there that it was time to move on. Well, like I said, for almost 2 years they haven't been intimate because he's come up with every excuse. She went this week to the doctor to have her GYN check up, and she said she was sitting there in the doctor's office, and the Lord spoke to her, saying, "Don't you have sex with him?" But she had already had sex with him. And she said, huh? He said, "Don't you have sex with him?" So she said to herself, she said, he still talks to me, but I still don't listen. So she said when she went to her and had her checkup, everything came back fine. But she now has in her mind, for him to have said that to her, is something she may be coming in contact with. Has she already come in contact with it because she didn't listen? Or is somebody else going to be bringing it her way? She don't know how to read it, But it scared her enough to get her attention. Because everything else she's been praying to the Lord for hadn't really gotten her attention. But this got her attention. And so now she's like, I'm staying away from being behind closed doors. I said, again, you're in a dark place. I said, maybe the light is beginning to get you a flicker of hope. I said, if it's been this long, and now all of a sudden, I said, the devil knows what you need. He knows what you want.
To keep you there.
And all he did was now showing you a little attention that you've been missing. So now you feel like he's in love again. He really wants you. How long did it last, y'all? He fixed the teeth Thursday. He took out the dinner, I think it was Wednesday. Friday he got an attitude and
Gone to Atlanta.
gone to Atlanta. So we can get in those dark places, and although we know how to get out of it, or people are giving us our experiences and showing us it's a walk. Nothing is easy about it. When you love somebody, it is not easy to walk away. And even when you walk away, that desire for them to change, to want you in the way that you wanted them, baggage and all, sometimes never surfaces. So, as I said, she's in church every Sunday. She's a minister over women, but I told her, when you come out of this, you're going through this storm for a reason, because there's somebody you're getting ready to come in contact with is going to be in the same situation that you are now going through. And when he pulls you up out of here, you're going to be able to rejoice and know that, Lord, I thank you. I didn't see my way out of this hole, this dark place. You sent people into my life to comfort me, to give me a word of encouragement, to share their life experiences, to help me and to let me know that I can make it. But it only lasts for a few minutes. I hear it. Nothing stays in the middle that I can hold on to just for that moment. I can cry out to him and let him know everything that you've said is the truth. But I still am stuck in this dark place.
When you share with somebody, you have to also share that when God reached way down to pull you out, you was fighting God. I was wanting to stay with the joker that could fix my teeth and buy me lunch. I would like that. It was dark, but I wanted to stay. So God reaching down, trying to pull you out. You fighting his hand because he can fix your back porch.
Any little thing.
God want to bless you, but you won't.
But see,
not
that's
hurt
a
your feelings.
glimmer of hope for her.
When you want to get out of the dark, you can't fight the light. But that's what man does. We fight. Oh, when the light comes, we fight it.
See, we enjoy.
Yeah.
We enjoy being mad and plotting and thinking all kinds of stupid stuff.
When all we got to do is listen to the
because
voice.
I wasn't really looking for no light.
Yeah. That's the thing.
In Bible study, the light came on. A little bit. Then when I went home and thought about it, the light came on through. But it wasn't on the people that was talking to me turn. It was on mine.
Right.
That's right. But in any instance, we get comfortable in any situation because we don't know what the outcome is going to be if we step out of that situation. That's where we lose our faith, our hope, our trust in God that he can deliver us from whatever it is that's going on with us. But do know this, that God comforts us Even when we are in so much pain and agony, we can't see our way. We sit under good, sound teaching, practical teaching, relevant teaching. But when we walk out those doors and go out into that world, and we face those people who think like us, who act like us, who looks like us, we get back in that comfort zone. That's why we get stuck. We don't want to cause friction with those that we're connected to. Because if you with me, I ain't by myself. If you think like me, I'll be all right. But we got to know that the accountability is on each and every one of us. Know that the love that God has for us, we have to love each other in spite of our circumstances. My walk is not your walk. How I have lived is not the way that you have lived.
That's right.
But in order for me to be comforted, I have to want to be comforted. If I want, we can talk to anybody that we want to talk to who is going to give us that feel good. Not that I got to get out of my comfort zone. All we want is that feel good. I'm right to feel the way I feel. No, you're not. Because that's what builds the hatred, the revenge, and all those things that comes up, and we don't even know that they're the devil who's telling us, because it's okay. I'm right about what I'm doing. I'm right about how I feel.
And if I get 3 people
To tell you. That's right.
co-sign-
To agree.
to co-sign on my wrong, I'm fine. It's just like cows. Cows will stay in a group in the rain, getting wet. Until one of them realized, you know what, the barn right over there. But as long as you're in the comfort of that group, they're going to stay right there in that group, wet, getting wet. And then one of them get
The light turned on.
to go to the barn. And guess what happened?
They're
All of them
fall.
fall into the bone. That's just how we are. We'll be in the dark, but if I got 6 or 8 other people with me in the dark, we'll stay right there in the dark. God reaching down to try to help you out. Fighting his hand. But then you'll see somebody that listens to God and head to the light. And there you go. Father now. And find out, if you don't listen to God, you ain't going to get to the light just because you followed there. You got to listen to what God says, because just like you said, we all live a different life, and God's got a different plan for everyone. And unlike the cow, I might follow you and you headed to the bone, but I have to go my path to the bone. And we have to remember that God got a different plan for every one of us. And getting out of the dark is specific for you. Your life might not be the same as mine.
All right, Kimberly and then Sharon.
I just want to share an analogy. If you've ever been in a dark place for a long, long, long time physically, when you go into the light, what do you do?
Oh man, you squint.
Squint.
Can't see.
You can't see. Your eyes are squint. You prefer to go back in that dark where it doesn't hurt. That light hurts. Quite oftentimes it really physically hurts you to walk into what is the light. So the comfortability within the darkness, and to have that complacent feeling, which God never wants us to be complacent. He never wants us to be balanced. When your life is balanced, something's not happening. He wants us to always be in a moving motion in our life. The moment we become comfortable and balanced, we're out of sync with Him. So always just think about that light, that darkness. You've been in there for a long, long time, and when you come out the movie theater, what you do? It's just squinching.
All right now.
You can't see.
I just wanted to say that if we continue to blame other people for our situations, we will never come out of the dark.
Okay?
Once you stop that and realize that you need to take control of your own life, everything will be much better. And I'm saying that from experience.
All right now.
I'm saying that from experience.
Yes.
Now that's a truth, Pastor. Oh, I thought you wanted to say something. I want to leave this with you, and this is Sheila. Life brings about so much pain when we want to hold on to it. When the flesh, we become comfortable in our pain. Sometimes we don't even know that it's pain, but it's pain, it's anguish. But until we reach down and know that there's a change that's got to come from within, nothing else is going to change. You will stay in that dark place in your life, not ever being able to fulfill and feel the joy of life. Something is going to continuously keep you in bondage from being able to love, to build relationships, and we're talking about good relationships. Because of how I live doesn't mean it's where I'm going. How I started out doesn't mean how I'm going to end up. So we have to know that a change has got to come. So in order to be comforted, or to be a comforter to someone else, to get them out of the dark, you have first got to get yourself out of the dark.
That's right.
Understand?